Welcome to The Explainer, where we break down big ideas into engaging explainers. All right, today we're tackling a 400-year-old poem that, honestly, sounds like a brutal takedown of the author's girlfriend. We're talking about Shakespeare's Sonnet 130. And when you first read it, you're probably thinking, is this the meanest love poem ever written? But is it really?
Okay, so to really get what Shakespeare's up to here, we need a little bit of context. We have to understand the rules he was about to completely shatter. Because you see, to appreciate a rule breaker, you've got to know the rules first, right?
So back in Shakespeare's day, love poetry had a certain vibe. It was heavily inspired by this Italian poet, Petrarch, and it was just full of these super over-the-top cliches called Petrarchan conceits. The whole game was to flatter your beloved by comparing them to the most perfect, divine, beautiful things you could possibly think of.
And this created, well, a pretty predictable formula. If you were a poet trying to win someone over, you want a checklist. Eyes, like the sun. Lips, redder than coral. Skin, white as snow. And her hair, it had to be like golden wires. It was all very dramatic, very flowery, and honestly, after a while, kind of unoriginal.
So you've got this established playbook for love poems, right? Everyone's following the rules. And then in walks Shakespeare. And he decides to do the exact opposite. He takes that whole formula and just line by line completely rips it to shreds.
I mean, right out of the gate, he starts tearing it down. My mistress's eyes are nothing like the sun. Nope, not even close. And her lips, he's like, coral is far more red. There's zero exaggeration here. It's just blunt, honest reality. And he doesn't stop there. He keeps going. Her skin isn't that perfect snow white ideal. He says her breasts are dun, which is kind of like a brownish gray. And her hair? Oh, it's not made of precious golden wires. Nope. He says black wires grow on her head. That is a direct shot at all those other poets and their obsession with golden hair. Okay, what about rosy cheeks? Surely she has rosy cheeks, right? Wrong. He says, look, I have seen roses, but no such roses see I in her cheeks. Just another classic cliché completely and bluntly tossed aside.
And then we get to what might be the harshest line in the whole poem. He says that perfume smells way better than in the breath that from my mistress reeks. Yikes. At this point, you've got to be thinking, this guy is in some serious trouble when his girlfriend reads this.
And just to top it all off, he says she's no goddess floating on air. My mistress, when she walks, treads on the ground. She's a real person who walks on the actual ground, just like everybody else. In 12 lines, he has completely dismantled the ideal woman of Elizabethan poetry.
So after all that, 12 lines of what sound like one insult after another, you have to ask, what on earth was Shakespeare thinking? Did he secretly hate this woman? Is this some kind of wild poetic revenge plot? What is going on here?
But here's the thing. This is where the entire poem does a 180. Those first 12 lines, they were all just a setup. The real point, the absolute genius of the sonnet, comes in the final 2 lines. The whole thing pivots on this one little phrase, and yet. This is the turn. Everything we just read, all those apparent insults, is about to be seen in a completely different light.
And here it is. And yet, by heaven, I think my love as rare as any she belied with false compare. This is the punchline. This final rhyming couplet holds the key to the entire poem. He's saying his love is just as amazing as any woman who's been described with a bunch of fake, phony comparisons.
Okay, so let's break down that key phrase, belied with false compare. To belie something means to misrepresent it, basically to lie about it. And false compare, well, that's all those cheesy, cliched comparisons we were just talking about. So he's saying other poets are literally lying about the women they claim to love with all that flowery, fake language. So you see, this is the big reveal. The poem isn't an insult to his mistress at all. It's an insult to other poets. He's mocking their lazy, uninspired, and, let's be honest, dishonest poetry. He's calling them out for just using the same old cliches instead of describing real, actual women. And that's the real heart of it. He's not trying to tear his mistress down. He's trying to build up a whole new idea of love, one that's honest, one that's real. So what he's doing is drawing this brilliant contrast, right? On one side, you have all this fake praise, these unrealistic ideals and cliched comparisons. But on the other side, you have real love, a love that acknowledges reality, that offers genuine affection, and loves a person for who they actually are, not for qualities they don't have. He sees her clearly, flaws and all, and thinks she's rare and wonderful because of it.
It's kind of like a 17th century Instagram versus reality. Seriously, Shakespeare was calling out the filtered versions of beauty and love 400 years before any of us had even heard of social media. He was just tired of the fake, unrealistic standards and wanted to celebrate something authentic. And it's a message that still totally resonates today. People really connect with this idea. Like, one user on Reddit said the poem actually made me feel less ugly as a kid. That's pretty powerful, right? The honesty of it provided comfort.
And someone else on there said something similar. I would much rather a partner see my flaws and imperfections and love them entirely. That's far more romantic. And that just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? That's the exact point Shakespeare was making. Real, genuine love is so much more powerful than fake praise.
So it really leaves you with a final question, doesn't it? In our own world, a world that is so full of filters and the pressure to be perfect, is honesty the ultimate form of romance? Maybe Shakespeare's 400-year-old message is actually more relevant now than ever. That maybe true love isn't about finding some impossible ideal of perfection, but about seeing reality, with all its flaws, and still thinking it's the rarest, most beautiful thing in the world.